Muted. Muted. Muted.
Lynn Escobar, the grants manager here with the LA County Arts Commission. Thank you for being on the line. I think I hear some people joining now. Please make sure that you mute your phones. Ask everyone to be on mute so that we can get through the full presentation. And it'll be about a 30-minute presentation with about 30 to 40 minutes of question and answer at the end. We are recording this, so please make sure that you have muted your phones. We want to make sure that there's no interference while the presentation is being conducted. Okay? For being here or participating with us here on this webinar. This is the first time we're doing this reporting workshop as a webinar. We hope that it has made it easier for you to participate this year. We're going to go through the basic information about logging in, getting into the reporting documents, and you'll need to submit, as well as how to finally submit it. So start of year one. So it's going to be a two-part webinar. The first part is year one. We're solely talking about the year one report. And then after we're done with that, we'll answer questions and we'll start the year two report workshop around 12:15, 12:30. If you're a year two grantee, you're going to want to probably hang up and then call back later, 12:15, during the year two presentation. All right, let's get started. First of all, ensure that you have downloaded the report requirements from Exhibit B in your contract. That will be a super helpful document. It will walk you through every piece of every detail that I'm going through today. So everything that I'm going to talk about is Exhibit B term instructions of your contract document. So have that. It'll be super helpful. And the requirements are all listed on our website, so you can see them all there. The pages here on this front page of the PowerPoint. These are the links to the reporting requirements and then the transactions document. So a little about OGP. You're very familiar with this by now. This is a two-year grant. We run on a county fiscal year calendar, which means our fiscal year begins July 1 and ends June 30, and the awards are for 2 years. So every year of this two-year grant, you're going to need to provide a report. For this first year's report, what we're going to do is we're going to ask you to give us information about the activities that have occurred in regards to your OGP project during the July 2017 to June 30, 2018 timeframe. We've provided you a little checklist here to help you just to get started. So this is even before you get into the fluid review system to get everything compiled and ready to go. We'll need your contract. So if you do contract and your adjusted grant budget, just make sure you locate that. You're going to need those items to reporting. You're going to need the copy of your thank you letter to your county supervisor. If you don't know what I'm talking about, please make sure that you look at Exhibit B. It has full instructions about how to do that. If you haven't done it yet, you can send ASAP, but maybe you get that done right away because we will need a copy of that thank you letter, the report. The proof of recognition, this is a screenshot or a copy of a program, a brochure, market materials, something that is public-facing that shows that you're recognizing that we have sponsored or helped to fund the project. And artistic documentation, at minimum 1, at most 3 high-quality images, so 300 DPI if possible. And they should be of activities or events that have happened during this fiscal year that you're reporting on. Please do not submit photos that you submitted with your application. We've already seen them. We want to see what's going on now. We want to see something that's in progress, maybe an exhibit, some rehearsals, classroom activities, events that have happened during this fiscal year. Send us some photos of those. We know that some of the grants are for staff salaries, but we actually want to see staff photos or images of your staff. We want to see actual programming. Please don't send us just space, like photos of your space. We want to actually see the activation of the spaces. So just keep that in mind when you're grabbing those photos. Those documents on the computer ready to go. And then you'll be ready to start. In terms of reporting, as I said, an annual requirement to report out to us what you've done with this OGP funding and the matching funds. The report each year will focus on that year's activities. Every year, the reporting deadline is May 15th. So you have to make sure that you calendar that date. It's very important. The reports are due by that date. In terms of invoicing, everything is reimbursable. So you are sending us an invoice for reimbursement for the activities that have taken place. So you're going to want to make sure that all the reimbursements that you're requesting are for activities or expenses incurred or expended between July 1, 2017 to June 30, 2018. And after the deadline, so as long as your expenses have been incurred June 30th, you can submit them as part of this payment request. All these details are in terms and instructions of your contract, so make sure you have that ready to go, and it'll help you with the details. So if your contract ready to go, what you're looking at is you're going to make sure that your address is correct with vendor relations system. The county has a vendor relations system. They will not write a check for an address that they don't already have registered in the system. So if you have moved, if there's been any movement, haven't reported that to county relations, you should make sure to give them a call or contact them, because you're going to want to register that new address with the system. Basically what happens is address is linked to your vendor number. So if you submit an invoice with a different address or a different vendor number and they don't see the link, they'll reject it. So if you need to contact vendor relations because you haven't updated that information, please email us at grants@arts.lacounty.gov so that we can give you the contact information for invoicing or for the vendor relations system. Additionally, on this first page of the contract, you'll see the project scope is listed. So you want to make sure that you are paying attention to what this project scope is, because the activities that you are requesting reimbursement for have to be aligned with what this request is all about, as well as the amount of the grant. So, and just a reminder that because the contract shows the full 2-year amount, the amount of the reimbursement can only be half of this, because you are getting reimbursement every year for exactly half of the amount of the grant. So, grant budget. You may remember that back in fall of 2017, you submitted a grant budget, adjusted grant budget, with your signed contract. Make sure you locate that. Hopefully you all downloaded this from the old system. We do not have access to those documents anymore. So if you didn't download that document from the old website, the old grant management system, you may need to contact us. We will have a hard copy of it that we'll have to fax or email over to you. But if you do have it, you've already downloaded that, great. You're going to need to, because this year 1 of this adjusted grant budget is basically kind of what tells you where the costs that you'll have for the grant were. It doesn't have to be an exact replica for the actual expenses, but it should be very close. And so, yeah, year 1, fiscal year 17-18 for the OGP award column, what you said you would expend for the OGP award, and then what you stated you expend for the matching funds. You're going to need to show us both. On the funds column, you have to make sure that it's no less than half grant award. So OGP award year 1 is half of the award, and matching funds is half. It should match or should be a little more than what the OGP award column total is. About that, we can talk about that after the presentation. So that is Laura Guerrero Nieto is on the line with us. She's going to be responding to chat questions. If you have very specific questions that you want to ask while I'm here, please send them to everyone as a chat question, and we'll answer them as we're going through this. To do a question and answer at the end. See your phones if you haven't already done so. I can hear a little bit of feedback. Please make sure you muted your phone. So I was saying the cash match. Grantees must demonstrate and report matching dollars and ensure that Los Angeles County grant funding did not exceed 50% of the cost of the project for that fiscal year. So that's why we ask, how much did you spend in terms of matching funds? It should be a dollar-for-dollar match for every year of the OGP dollars that you spent. That's why we require that information in the report. Online into the system. Here's it. www.lacountyarts.org/apply. Log in on that sign-in page. Reminder that you should be using a Word document for your narratives. Make sure that you've saved those narrative report answers on a Word document. And then cut and paste that into the report fields online. We want to make sure you don't get caught up in a situation where you lose your information because of some technical glitch. So use Word document and cut and paste from that. Make sure you're submitting 5 days prior to the deadline to avoid any last-minute stress, technical issues, anything like that. We don't want you to have to go through a hard time. So make sure you're getting 5 days prior to the deadline for submitting this. You're going to see there is a cover page before you can get into the system. So find a link that says My Application, click there, and you'll be brought here to this dashboard. You'll see at the bottom of this page that there's a section that says Your Grants section, and then you'll see under that all the applications that you've filled out, both, all the applications that you've been awarded and any applications that are still in progress. So, for example, this applicant has an awarded OGP application to manage your grant round 1 for the details. So that's what you're looking for, OGP awarded. To get into the system, to get into manage your grant section, you're going to click on the name of your organization, which is also your application ID. Click on that blue font of your with your name. And we can here to the dashboard where you'll see all of the forms associated with this Manage Your Grant Round 1 piece of your application. So this is where you'll find all of the invoicing and reporting forms. There are 6 forms on this page. You only need to fill out the last 4, the ones on the bottom, to complete a report and invoice. So the 2 are optional. You can ignore those and don't have to fill those out unless you actually really do need to provide us with a change of information, or if you want to provide us with a project amendment. You can do, but that's optional. It's not part of the Year 1 report. The ones that are part of the Year 1 report are the bottom 4. So find the bottom 4 tasks. We call them tasks, and they're basically the report forms. Begin by clicking on the blue font or clicking Start. You can start away. And so these 4 documents, it's the narrative questions, the matching funds, and then the supplemental materials document, as well as the invoice form, which is the last one. So I'm just going to show you these pieces, and then I'll go in and show you a live version of what they look like. For the budget, this is really what you're looking at here. It's a table that shows you matching expenses, like where you probably spent some money here with the OGP award, and so you're going to choose from those line items, where did you spend some of this fund, some of these dollars. So you'll list for Year 1 where you spent OGP funding and where you spent matching funding. The validation function here, so the award will be filled in automatically here at the top, and your totals at the bottom have to make sense. They have to be validated for it to allow you to submit this document. So ensure that your OGP award total is no more than half of the grant, and that your matching funds expenses are matched to that OGP award amount or more. Exceeds or matches that OGP amount, you're fine, and you can submit it. You also have some additional questions here that you're going to want to answer. The other expenses line item, you should definitely make sure you tell us what those other expenses are. And you will also want to make sure we know what the sources of your matching funds are. So make sure you answer those 2 narrative questions at the bottom of the budget page. And exit, always save and exit after you're done with your answers, or save new editing so that you can do your work and come back to it later. But when you're done, click Save and Exit. You'll have to then go into the narrative questions. So when you're done with your budget, you'll go into the narrative questions. Narrative questions are basically a summary of the outcomes so far for Year 1. What did you learn? What were some of the observable outcomes? What were some of the short-term and long-term goals that you had envisioned at the beginning of the project? Tell what those were. Make sure that the brief project description matches very closely to what the contract states it should match. The project progress and success, this is up to you. Whatever you feel were observable outcomes that have helped you measure to reflect on your work, know about it. Tell us, what you've learned so far. You can optional list, example of one of the successes of your project and impacting your organization and your community. Let's talk about the challenges. Be honest and tell us about your challenges in implementing this project. Were there any? Provide us as much information details as you can. We want to help you by providing technical assistance and professional development workshops. So, staff is internally looking at these. We're interested in knowing what's going on here. It's 400 grantees, so we want to know their own words how you're meeting these challenges. If to modify your project or your budget for year 2 because you're redirecting the funds or something like that, let us know by clicking yes, you need to modify your project, and then you're going to need to contact us by email so that we can walk you through creating a project amendment. Then we have participation in project reach. So this is where you'll tell us if you are collecting geographic, any other type of data about your participants. Tell us how you're doing that. And instructions for details on what we're looking for here. And we want to know if you posted on the Discover LA website. So this is a requirement of the grant. We want to make sure that you have posted anything about any exhibits or events, anything you could invite the public to. We want to make sure that you have posted that on Discover LA. If you haven't, please let us know and tell us why. And these are, then you'll go into the supplemental materials page. You'll submit those pieces that I talked about at the beginning, the thank you letter to the Board of Supervisors, recognition, and the artistic documentation. You'll upload those pieces into the system. You'll fill out your invoice form. So this is what the invoice form looks like. You're going to need to make sure that your address and your vendor number is on it. Make sure that the vendor relations have the address that you have put here on this invoice. Your primary contact name, email, and phone number in case we have any questions. Invoice amount, and if you're not sure what that invoice amount should be, give us a call. And certify that you actually had a dollar-for-dollar match for every OGP dollar that you have spent. So you're going to click yes, and then you'll provide us with the date that you're submitting this, and you're going to save and exit. You've completed all these documents, 1, 2, 3, 4 documents. You submit. So you're not done until you click submit, the green button on the dashboard. Make sure that you click that. When you click that, we'll receive an alert to go into the system and print out your invoice and print out your report and start looking at it. So make sure you do that. Let's do a walkthrough of the system so you can see what I have just been sharing with you on a live version. This is the live version of the system. We're already logged in as a fake organization. We created a fake account. So to begin, you can click here, or you can click here, Start. These are the questions I just went through that I was just talking about. Answer all these questions, click and exit. To get back into the dashboard to move to the next section. Finish one of these tasks, back into the dashboard to complete the next one. Matching expenses table. and then back to the dashboard. I just saw a question about character counts. There are character counts. You'll see in the narrative questions that we do have character counts. We'll tell you what they are underneath the question. Should tell you. Oh, it looks like they don't list in the box. Okay, let me click into this. Yeah. So that reminded me that when you start typing into these boxes, it'll tell you what the character count, the maximum character limitation is. So for box it's 750. If I click here, it's 1,500. 700 here. For the challenges, it's 750. Have the participant project reach. These are just yes or no answers. You have character counts, and you'll see what they are once you type into the box. Let me see invoice. Supplemental materials section. Upload your images. You're going to click choose file. It'll open up your a window so that you can choose the document. You'll upload here. You have the option of putting 1 or 2 files in here. Putting in your saying that you will allow us to use these. So we like to use these images sometimes for some of our presentations, our newsletters. So if you want to provide us with the authority to use these, please click I certify. Proof of can be uploaded here. Letters of impact to the Board of Supervisors here. And then if you have been collecting zip code data, you provide it here. It could be an SB or an Excel file, however you're doing it. Choose that file and upload it here. Exit. No invoice form. This is what the invoice form looks like. As I was saying, it'll show what your, I think these are auto-filled. So these are auto-filled from your original application. If different, make sure that you have let us know, register that with the vendor relations system. Put in your invoice amount, certify that there was a dollar for dollar match, and the date of submission, and then you can save and exit. And once you've completed that invoice form, you can then submit. So that's pretty much it for the online system. You'll see it's be a little bit hopefully easier to use than the prior system. Just a reminder that 2 years, I believe it was 2 years ago, we stopped solely auditing the OGP1 reports. We now do a random audit for all OGP budget categories. So make sure that you are keeping some, do good record keeping, anything that has to do with your OGP project and the matching funds. Make sure you're keeping all of those receipts, statements in a folder somewhere so that if you are chosen for a random audit, you can provide us with that information. And what we'll do is if you have, if you're providing us with an accounting report from QuickBooks or Quicken, we want to make sure that you have highlighted in those reports what those expenses were so that we're not trying to figure out for you. It's up to you to highlight what the line items are that pertain to your OGP project. Okay? Pretty much it for the random audit, and if you want to know more about that, please go to the Exhibit B, Terms and Instructions. I can take questions now. So I think Laura is going to be on the chat box. If you have questions that you want to ask, please feel free to chat them. And I'll say the question out loud and then give you an answer. Okay, the question is, I had a problem using Discovery. I entered all the information correctly, but the form would not accept the submission. I had similar problems with the form last season. I'm sorry to hear about that. We do have a contact there if you want to give them a call to figure out what's happening, why it's not posting your information correctly. So please email us at grants@lacounty.gov, and we can provide contact to connect with them and figure out what's going on with the system and why you weren't able to get those posts up on the website. You do have the ability on the report to say, no, I didn't post on Discovery, and you can state that reason in the report. Any other questions? Please chat them to us now. We answered character and word limit question earlier. We do have character counts, word limit counts. It's actually a character count, not a word limit count. So make sure that you are using the Word document to figure out what your character count is on your organization's narrative question, the answers to your narrative questions. Word can tell you how many characters you've got in there. Character counts include periods, spaces, commas. So use that Word document to help you figure that out. The question is, under operations in the budget, is rent part of that? It is. So yeah, you can put it in there, and you can explain that in that line item in the narrative question where we ask you about other expenses. Okay. Okay, well, we have a question about changing a corporate address. Providing us with a change of address on our form in the online grant system does not change it with vendor relations. So if you haven't contacted vendor relations for the county yet, you should definitely do that. We can provide you with contact information. Our records aren't an exact match to what they have. So we have your most current address, but they may not. So you want to make sure that they have what your most current address is. As I said, if you submit an invoice with the old address, they inspect it. I'm answering them verbally, so. Okay, next question. Most of those are of children in school audiences. There is no way we can get permission from them. So I guess the question is, are you allowed to share those with us without the agreement from those parents and participants to use these photos? I would suggest if you can find a photo where you're not showing faces, you're showing maybe the backs of people's heads, or maybe you're showing the from the back of the audience what's going on the stage. Send us photos like that. And okay, no questions. Feel free, to disconnect. Thank you so much for participating. Oh, another question. Same about permission for adopted. Answer. Please try to find a photo that doesn't show specifically their faces. Maybe you have something from the back of the house, show just the back of the heads, or it's rehearsals. Like that. Will this be available? Is there a copy of the presentation? Yes, we're going to send to you the copy of this PowerPoint, and we're going to send you the instructions for logging logging into the system and getting into the report questions. The charts, I'm not sure, does that mean budgets? Will the budgets be available? Not sure what that question means from Cynthia. Oh, sorry, Ray. Yes, send you the PowerPoint for this. So thank you so much, everyone, for participating. Please email or call us if you have questions we can answer. One more question here, the adjusted budget. Download and submit as document. You're going to use that adjusted grant budget as just a source of information. You don't need to upload into our system. You just need to use it as kind of a source of information of where you said most of those costs were going to be. Your actual expense budget that you're submitting with the report looks similar, looks the same. It should look very, very similar. Hopefully your question, Judy. Thank you so much for that. Yes, I've got another question about year 2 reporting. Yes, we're going to go into the year 2 reports in about 20 minutes, so 20-minute break. We're going to stay on the line in case there's more questions. So feel free to log off and log back in at 12. But yeah, we're going to have another at 12:15. I see another question. Should be there 2 thank you letters, one to our district supervisor and one to the chairman of the board. I need to upload one. It's the copy of the letter to the supervisor. It's up to, if you did provide more than one letter, you can, that's great. We only need to see the letter that was sent to the board of supervisors to the whole. So it works. Above and beyond. Another question about the PowerPoint. There appear to be a page that reference numbers related to the audience. Is that from a different report or from year 2 updates, perhaps? I finished from the screen very quickly and I didn't see it in the forms I downloaded yesterday. There are new questions in the year 2 report. So I think you may have been referring to are some additional questions that we now have in year 1. In the 1 questions that ask about whether or not you are starting to collect participant data. So if you are, then I think they're basically yes or no answers on the questions, and I think that's what you're talking about. They didn't get downloaded in the in the document downloaded yesterday. I'll take a look at that document to see if maybe those questions were missed. But I believe the year one report now ask whether or not you are collecting the participant data, either zip codes or something like that. So yeah, so year one should ask that. And the year two questions are different. They will say, you know, they actually ask you about your participants, demographics, geographic data. You'll see in the year two reports, we will actually be asking these questions very specifically. Thanks, Chris. So we'll look at year one set of questions and see if there's a chunk of questions missing in there. Follow up to that question, so I'd be looking at year two forms to see what info is needed so that we have the data for next year. Yes, that's a good idea. You should definitely start to look at that year two form. We have mine, so in on the same page where you found the year one report questions, you'll also see there's a link to the year two report questions, and it'll help you be ahead of the game next year if you're looking at those questions ahead of time. So yeah, if you want to see a preview of those questions, definitely log in to our website and send those year two questions, and we'll show you exactly what we're going to be asking. recording this presentation so that we can have it out later on. So we're going to be recording this. We sent everybody the questions to look at those and see what we're asking here in the new year 2 report. It does look a little different from past year 2 report questions. See, there's some changes, and we'll go through them thoroughly in the presentation. You can download them from our website, or you can download them from the email that we sent earlier this week. The year 2 report here, a reminder that these are 2-year grants, and you're required to report on activities every year of the grant. The report focuses on both during that fiscal year as well as the overall outcome. We run on the county fiscal year calendar, so activities that you're reporting on are the activities that took place between July 1st and June of the second year. So it'll be July 1st, 2016 to June 2018 for the overall project, but in terms of the specific activities from this year, it'll be July 1, 2017 to June 30, 2018. Should help you just to prepare for getting into the system, to have everything you'll need ready to go on your computer. Number one, you have your contract package ready to go. We sent you the fully executed contract back in fall of 2016. It included your adjusted grant budget. So make sure that you have your adjusted grant budget to refer to for the budget tables that are in the report. You'll make sure that you have your thank you letters for the Board of Supervisors. So we request that every year of the grant that you send a thank you letter or a letter of impact to your supervisor to thank them for funding you during this time. So show us the copy of that letter by submitting it in the report grant management system. By what this is, you should look at Exhibit B, terms and instructions. It will give you full details on what we're talking about here with the thank you letter. If you already can do it, make sure you send that letter ASAP before that report is due. So yeah, all of the instructions are instructions of your contract. That you have proof of recognition. So maybe it's a screenshot of your website, maybe it is a copy of your program or brochure, public-facing document where you show that you are recognizing the Arts Commission by using the logo to show we have sponsored or funded the project. We also need to see artistic documentation, so we request that you send us at minimum 1, at most 3 high-quality images, 300 DPI if possible, photos of events that happen in this fiscal year that you're reporting on. So activities happened between July 1, 2017 and June 30, 2018. Something that you've already submitted before. We don't want to see anything that was submitted with an application because that wouldn't be a recent photo. We want to see something recent. We want to see ongoing programs, exhibits, rehearsals, activities. It's recent, but it's of good quality. We know these OGP grants are for staff to support staff salaries, but don't send us staff images. We actually want to see the work that's happening. Reporting is done every year, so you're required to report annually on your activities funded through the grant. Your deadline each year of the grant is May 15, so this coming deadline is May 15, 2018. That you have that calendared. We will want to see everyone's reports submitted by that day, if not earlier. In terms of we OGP funds, so every dollar that you spent in terms of OGP funds and matching funds are what you're going to report on, and we will reimburse the OGP of that So make sure that you, when you're filling out your invoice, you're listing any expenses either already spent or incurred up to June 30th, 2018. That's past the deadline, and that's on purpose. Anything that's been expended or incurred up to June 30, 2018, you can include that as part of this invoice for the report. You have that terms and instructions document. It'll help you if you have questions about the invoice and requirements of the invoice process. In fact, what you'll need to make sure you have is that front page. It will show you the address that we have in our system. Your address contract should be the same address as the one that you have in the invoice, and it should be the same one that we have registered with this county vendor number. County vendor relations, when they receive your invoice, they should be able to see a match between the vendor number and the address. If you've moved recently and you haven't reported that move to vendor relations, you'll need to make sure you register that new address, because they will direct an invoice with an address that they don't have registered already. So if that's an issue for you, make sure you contact us so that we can send them information or view their information to contact them and have them update your data there with vendor relations. I've updated it with our system, but unless you tell vendor relations that you've updated it, they won't know. So you have to call them separately. It also states what you're supporting here, what you're getting support for. So this is the project scope. I want to make sure that what you're reporting on aligns closely with what this project scope is. Is your maximum grant amount. So reminder that for each year of the grant, you're receiving exactly half, no more than half of the maximum grant amount. So that's how much you can actually invoice us for in the invoice. If you the budget was admitted your contract, you did it through the old online grant system, Go, and no longer have access to that system. So if you didn't, make sure to download that grant budget. Contact us, and we may have a hard copy that we can fax over to or email to you. We will look at that adjusted grant. Will be a source for you filling out the matching expenses portion. So 2, you're going to use the third column OGP award and the 4th column matching funds to report to us how you spent the funding that you received in terms of OGP dollars as well as matching dollars. For that you receive from OGP, you have to have at least a 1-to-1 match. So know how you spent the 1-to-1 match funding. Where did you spend those dollars? And so that you submitted with your contract should help you just to remember where you stated you would spend that money. And a reminder that the grantees must demonstrate and report match dollars. So that's what we're talking about here with this report. You want to make sure that you're able to prove that LA County did not exceed 50%, did provide more than 50% of the cost of the project. So that asks you for how you spent that matching funds portion of the project money. To report, you're going to go into www.lacountyarts.org/apply. This is not our website. This is actually a vanity URL to lead you to the grant management system, the new one, Flu Review. If you've never been on there before, you're going to need to make sure that you have an account ready to go to see report forms. So if this is your first time logging in and you're confused, please email us. But this is where you're going. You're going to www.lacountyarts.org/apply. Signing in here on the sign-in page. Reminder to cut and paste your narrative pieces of the report from a Word document. We do have strict character counts, so we want to make sure you know how many characters you have in each of your fields before you actually cut and paste that into the report. So the user have to edit things out. Working from a Word document will also help you avoid any issues with if you have any glitches on the system. We don't want you to lose your work, so working from a Word document is a good idea. Also, that you are submitting this report at least 5 days prior to the deadline to avoid any last-minute stress. Sometimes the system gets overloaded and we noticed more glitches when there are more people signed in to the system. So to avoid any last-minute stress by submitting a little earlier than the deadline. Forms, what you're going to do is log in, and then you'll see there's a cover page before you can actually get into the system. Click on View My Grant Applications, and then you'll see this page. You're going to go down, scroll to the bottom of the page, and you'll see Your Grant. The Your section, and then you'll see your most recently awarded OGP application. So find that says Status Awarded OGP, and then click on the name of your organization. That is your application ID. So the blue font is a link. Click to get into the Manage Your Grant Round 2 section grant system. When you're in it, you see there are 7 forms here on this page. You don't need to fill out the top 3. Those are optional forms. You're going to provide us with information. If you needed to send us a partial invoice or send us a payment, you might have used one of the forms, but if you didn't have the need to do that, those will be incomplete, and that's totally fine. The report forms are at the bottom. So where you see final report narrative questions, final report matching expenses, supplemental materials, and final report invoice, those are 4 forms that pertain to the final report, and those are the ones you'll need to complete, submit your report and invoice. I'll show you basically what it looks like here on my PowerPoint, and then I'll go in and show you the version. This is what matching expenses budget table looks like. You can see there is a section that says total grant award. That is going to be auto-filled with your total maximum amount of the grant. And then you'll see here the second section, the matching expenditures. This we filled in with what the totals should be more or less, at the bottom of your table, so that we use as a way to validate your answers, so that you're not submitting incorrect information. You want to make sure that you're showing half of the award amount here under OGP expenses. And the second column for matching is half of the award or more. So it's basically a dollar for dollar match for every OGP dollar or more. You can't eat that amount. Is filled in, and it says that it's validated and it's correct. You will be to submit it. If it's incorrect, it will allow you to submit the document. Section, we're going to have Laura Guerrero Nieto do this part of the presentation. We're going to discuss the project narrative in detail. There are some new pieces to this for this Year 2 report, and I'm going to go over them with you.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Some of you may recall that in this reporting workshop, we did a bit of a preview of the narrative report questions. There is a copy of all of these questions on our website, under the reporting section of the website, Manage Your Grant. Overview for you, an opportunity for you to begin crafting your responses to these questions, to give you a sense of what we're asking for and why we're asking it. So a reminder to all of you that we have character limits for each of these narrative questions, and able to tell the character limit for each of them. Click into the box for inputting your response. The other limits is that we want you to focus your responses on the most meaningful elements and information as it pertains to your project. The reason that this report exists is not just for compliance, it's actually also so that we can gain a better understanding of your project from initiation through implementation, and then as you've made progress toward its conclusion. that we have these short questions and have worded them the way they are is that we use as an opportunity to evaluate this program and its impact on LA County residents. So you'll see that questionably on this page that you're seeing are seeing information about your project and progress towards goals, also your project challenges. This is used so that we can provide technical assistance workshops in support of your work, of sort of mitigating some of the challenges, if possible, that you've experienced through the execution of your project. The other thing to sort of highlight for you all is that all of you are aware that we have a new executive director. So these reports will be passed along to her. Some selections of these reports will be passed along to her. Board of Supervisors, our commissioners, or funders as a way to understand the grantee pool, and a great opportunity for you to highlight your work, but also to give folks who really aren't as familiar with you. We are in the Grants Division additional information about just of your organization on the landscape of Los Angeles County arts and culture. So this next is what I've alluded to at the beginning of my discussion of the reporting questions. These participation and project reach questions were first introduced to you in a very general way last year during the first year of your grant. So here we have them outlined for you, and you see exactly what we're requesting. So the question is specifically asking you to provide the quantitative figures, the numbers of how many people participated in this specific grant-funded project. And we deleted the types of participants for the project. You'll see that A, we are requesting your total paid attendance, B, total free attendance, C, attendance in classes and workshops, which can include both paid and unpaid. If one of these does not apply to your organization or the grant-funded project, then you may respond NA. Something else to note. When an organization is requesting funding in support of a staff member, then you are responding to the programming, the artistic programming that this staff member has helped to facilitate in support of your organization's mission. You're not specifically that if you're requesting support for a staff person, you obviously would not have paid attendance for that staff person. But let's say it's an outreach manager. Then what are the programs and artistic opportunities that staff person helped to coordinate it, and how many paid attendees did you have participate, or free attendees, or total number of attendance for classes and workshops, number C. Another thing to mention is that it's specific to the grant-funded project. So with the example I've just given you about the outreach coordinator, what are specifically that the outreach coordinator facilitated? That was your organization's programming. And we don't expect you to respond to this question with your total attendance. If your project is supporting the artistic director and your artistic director has coordinated and facilitated, managed, overseen all of your organization's artistic programming, then you should be responding to this question with all of your organization's attendance numbers. To go D, E, and F, this is an opportunity for us to see the folks that have been impacted, working on the project, and have supported your work to bring the book to its culmination. B says number of paid staff members who worked on this project. If you're supporting an outreach coordinator, one specific position, obviously you would say 1. If there were additional folks, though, that helped to bring the project to fruition, that would have an additional opportunity to really demonstrate the effort that it took to bring this project to fruition. So that's the purpose of these individual questions. It's the impact on, we want to see the impact in your workforce, who organization, volunteer artist, staff members is supporting the execution of this project. Question just speaks to the number 7 question above. If you requested a grant in support of a position, just simply list the title of that grant. If you partner with an organization or non-arts organization, respond to that question, yes or no. You will not be penalized for not answering these questions if they do not apply to your project. However, if you not answer these questions and you did request support for a specific position, then we will have to request corrections to your report, which would delay the processing of grant payment. This next post on Discover LA, check yes or no, and describe. Just to remind you that we do require that you post publicly accessible programs and events on Discover LA, and we have some additional instructions there on how you should do that. We do want you, though, if you're not able to post on Discover LA because you experience some kind of technical difficulty, please just head in the report opportunity to again provide technical support to you. You can also email us at the grants inbox. We can provide you with the contact for tech support if that's necessary for you. We would encourage you to do that. This question are the new demographic questions in the participation and project reach section of the report. So for all of these questions, you are simply checking the box that describes the types of communities that have been targeted through this project. If it does not apply to you, do not check the box. But in this box, you're sort of giving us an overview, a general overview of the communities and constituents who have benefited from the presentations of In addition to specific targeted questions, we have been requesting information about specific age groups and specific gender. Again, just check boxes that are applicable to your community demographics. If it does not apply, then you are not required to select. If you're not sure, then you can select general audience. When possible, however, we would ask for you to provide us to click a specific age group or gender. Of this participation and project reach is regarding racial and ethnic groups. Again, simply check the box that corresponds with the demographics of the specific communities that you target this project. Here, if you are unsure about how to evaluate communities, we do additional information on our website from last year regarding how to create surveys, and that may be something you want to reference moving forward so you can have a better sense of exactly who your community is. And here, this was introduced last year as well. Just a reminder that the Arts Commission has instituted a random auditing process for submission. What this means is that all budget categories will be randomly audited in year 1 and year 2. And we request that you please be prepared with social records. As an audit, we know who we will be auditing until after we've received all of the reports. But these are examples of the types of proof of expenses that you should keep and could provide to us should this additional information be requested of you. A reminder to you all that for any of these sort of statements, whether they be QuickBooks, receipts, any of them listed here, it is responsibility to highlight the specific expenses that have been made in support of the grant-funded project by highlighting them. It's for us, and consuming to negotiate which elements of the financials you submit are in support of your project. So we really appreciate you doing that. And again, this is something that will happen after May 15th of 2018, which is your reporting deadline. So it's something in May that you if it impacts you, you will receive an email from us, and you will be given a window of time in which to respond to project expenses for rent. And then here are contact information. If you have any questions about the relations, Discover your adjust grant budget table form, or anything else, you email us at this grants email address, and you can contact us at the phone number listed there as well. We'd like to point your attention to instructions that have been posted on our website. This information for you, step by step, where to click in the Fluid Review system to access the reporting forms required for annual reporting. So for instance, this and the terms and instructions for your OGP contract, read through these documents, and any questions after that, we will gladly take them. So now some of the questions submit the chat. I'll review those chat questions. Then we have some questions on the phone. A reminder, PowerPoints will be available to all of you. We will send PowerPoints out to you along with a link to these instructions for Fluid Review in a follow-up email. We'll post them on our website. So you will have access to this material once again.
Here's the first one. Is it a partial report amount of the grant award match on the report?
So regarding if a previous partial invoice has been submitted, is the total amount of the grant to be reflected in the budget tables and matching of the grant report? Yes. So let's say your grant amount was $1,000 and you requested $500 initially. Your invoice would say $500, but the budget table itself would reflect the full grant amount of $1,000. And the matching funds at least be equal to $1, for example, but be greater than if additional funding was used in support of the project.
Support for rent, can we include all paid, unpaid, or all our programs?
Regarding projects that support rent, so for the participation and reach question, that this is something that impacts all programming for your organization, you would include all paid and unpaid participants for the entire grant period in the participation and reach questions, because the space is assumed being utilized for all of your programming. So yes, you would respond with all programming for attendance numbers for all of your programming in that case.
Number 9 on the report.
Okay, so the next question is really specific. It's regarding if organization serves as a fiscal sponsor of another organization, but others did not partner with them. Answer yes or no to question 9. This is a grant-funded project. So if your organization did not work with this other entity, arts organization or non-arts organization, for the grant-funded project, then you would respond no, because they did not support the project for which you received funding. Okay, so the students say, what are examples of what you expect when you ask about targeting different ethnic groups for programming? It's with you, there are check box responses, you're not being requested to provide any sort of qualitative or quantitative information for this question. So it's basically, do you understand the community that you're serving? Who is the community that you're marketing for your program to? And can you describe that community? And we're asking for any other specifics other than, what are the demographic information for the communities that you marketed to for your work. And there's a question, a checkbox that's provided that says general audience, constituency, and no group specified. So if you really don't know who your community is, if you're unaware of who your marketing information is being targeted to, reaching, you can ask that question, but you should also be thinking about that this is for you to ask, don't you know who your community is, and the opportunities you have to get a better understanding of who this community is. Because as you recall, on the application for OGP, there is a community core audience question. So in various elements of the OGP program, we're prompting you to better understand who the community you're serving is and what their demographics are. It's an easy way for you to let us know that information. Don't know because you have free programming, that's okay as well. Just simply select that general audience constituency. But you'll notice that there's an opportunity for you to provide a pretty substantial answers here because we're asking about specific communities that are targeted, age groups, gender, that last question about racial and ethnic groups. So if any of that is relevant to you, then you should check the relevant box, and if it's not, then select general audience constituency. So for it, we will provide approximately 2 weeks from the date which we request the financial information from you as proof of expenses, day of the email into the day that you are submitted is approximately 2 weeks. Next question about how to report on expenses for projects occurring after May 15th. There's in your fact, the link specifically says for expenses that have taken place are to be incurred. So the idea is that you know how your grant funding will be spent, and you must know how your grant funding will be spent. So you already can anticipate that this will happen, and because it's within the grant period through the 30th, then you would report as if it's already taken place and been spent. And by click I certify that this information is correct, you are meeting the obligation of demonstrating that this is how grant funding has been or will be spent through the end of the grant contract. What you should be really careful about, however, is making sure that you have documentation, because we're requesting proof of expenses from you in the May through the month of May. Then you would need to be sure that you had a contract in something that this an expense that will be incurred.
Being audited for the full grant period. Yes, for year 2, it's an audit of the full.
So for 2 grantees, yes, it's an audit for the entire grant period, with obviously special attention paid towards the second year, both years of your grant. The PowerPoint for surveys, that's under the project evaluation section of the website. When you scroll down to the bottom, there are several PowerPoints there, and it's one of the evaluation surveys that you can reference.
Our grant is used for staff salaries. Directors are first program under so there's Talk to Dante separately.
Hi, so we're reading your question here. We're going to need to discuss this with you offline. So let's sure that you write a follow-up email to us at grants@arts.lacounty.gov so we can guide you through the stages of your project.
Audit numbers for year 2 or both years?
Hi, Jerry, your question. So given this participation and reach question appears on the second year of your grant report, you wanting to both years of your programming. Okay, so those questions that we have in the chat room, we really appreciate you all taking time out of your day to participate in this webinar with us. We do have additional time, so if there are questions, please type them into the chat. We can also have an opportunity to discuss questions with you, phone or email at the number and email address listed up on your screen. So a question that says, I thought programming participation numbers were only for year 2. No, participation is for the entire life of this OGP grant. It's only requested of you in year 2 to sort of the burden placed on you, but it's for just this second report is requesting that you provide information for both years of your grant. This participation and reach section is requesting responses for both years of your grant. So the title of the PowerPoint does say year 2 narrative questions, year 2 responses, but that's because this is the second report, not the year 1 report. But all of these, every single section of this year 2 report is responding to the full life of your OGP contract. Specifically, is asking you to simply report on 1 year of the grant. The rest of the report, all narrative sections are requesting you to respond to both years of the grant. Okay, for your time, we'll stay on the line for a few more minutes to answer any additional questions. And to everyone that the PowerPoint and the recorded webinar will be sent out along with instructions on how to access reports in the review system later this week. So another point of clarification here with the year 2 report. So the year 2 report is called a year 2 report to distinguish it from the first year of your report. Obviously, in your first year, you can only report on the first year's activities. In year 2, you should be able to report on both years' activities. And so The budget table in the Year 2 report only requires that you provide actual expense figures for the second year of your grant, but operative sections are requesting information for the full life of this grant, which is 2 years, beginning July 1, 2016 and ending June 30th, 2018. With regard to proof of recognition of the Arts Commission's funding for your project, you can use a logo. There's also a line in the terms and instructions of your grant that we authorize you to use. So if it's visually, aesthetically more appealing, then you can use the line that's included in the terms and instructions of your contract.
And then another question about the survey that person was asking about that's on our website.
There are not sample evaluation surveys on our website. There is a PowerPoint that provides sort of just like our technical workshops. There is a PowerPoint that provides information about last year's evaluation workshop, which reference survey. Sources that you might want to reference. As grantees, you are all eligible to participate in professional development opportunities offered through the Center for Nonprofit Management and the Nonprofit Partnership Fund. These organizations have evaluation workshops, and if that's something of interest to you, then you might consider participating in that for some additional support. Hi, so with regards to if you didn't receive an email earlier, it might have been that you signed up for the webinar. I was sent out to make sure that you did in fact sign up for this webinar via Eventbrite. We will pull the full list of CPs and all materials will be sent to everyone who has registered to participate. I'm sorry, we're seeking some clarification. What is a CB assessment? Capacity building assessment. Website and arts.org, and you go to funding, organizational grant program, manage your grant, and project evaluation. There's last year's OGP Rona 1 PowerPoint, which you don't need to access, but below that there's a survey workshop PowerPoint. It covers the what, why, and a step-by-step how to create practical participant, audience, and patron surveys. And there's all an activity packet linked to that. So really what I'm referring to. Thanks, everyone. If there are other questions, feel free to leave this meeting and enjoy the rest of your day. We look forward to reading your reports, and we really do read them. So excited to hear about the amazing work that you all are doing. If you have any questions, again, feel free to email us at artsci.gov or call the number on your screen. Respond to you as quickly as we can.